No, but what do you think about the American flag then? Just the American flag. Because honestly, I didn't vote for him when this hat came on. This was more of a collector's item for me.
What do you mean? What do I think about it?
Well, I mean, it's the American flag.
Some people are being
what do you think? This is the country.
Oh, no. I have the American flag hanging in my house.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Awesome. We are all about freedom of speech.
Oh, it's not only because I don't have a pole. Yeah. I grew up in a...
Mine's half staff.
My dad was a Air Force veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam.
Awesome.
I have no issues with any of that.
Freedom of speech, obviously, because you could like be okay with someone having a different opinion and approach them with a smiling manner.
Absolutely.
And that's 100% what we're about. That is generally not the population that comes and approaches us.
But you have to admit that is both sides.
This or like the issue?
The not being okay with approaching each other.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna...
It's not about one side versus the other.
Oh no, it definitely is, because if you were to come up here with about saying some stuff, we might have to do something. It depends on the context.
It does,
all the
but
history.
You have to admit there's a lot of people out there on the other side.
The Marxist side?
On the right side that don't want to deal with liberals, and I get it.
Oh yeah.
And
liberals you're absolutely
don't want to deal with Republicans.
That's absolutely true.
And I just would beg all of you to stop the one-sidedness of being a nationalist party. That's not patriotic.
Well, it can be. It definitely can be.
It's horrible.
But it's not patriotic. That's not true.
Almost synonymous.
Patriotism is the old way.
Patriotism isn't Trump's ideology.
It can be. There's a lot of patriots who are on his ideology.
But there's also a lot of patriots that are on the Democratic side.
Not a lot. There's a few.
No, that's your opinion.
No. There's the studies show that there's a few.
And this is why things kind of change.
Well, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I really appreciate you here talking.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I really do.
I'm born and raised in Washington.
Awesome.
I'm a Washingtonian, a Western Washington. Meaning nothing else matters other than white people and America first.
No, how about Western? Not white. How about Western? How about the idea of including Asian, African?
I have a Japanese sister.
And so what about the idea of including it all in the flag and coming together and taking the best of each of those? The Western ideology. The West is the best to accumulate
I think
it.
you're turning that into something.
No, I think the media and everyone else did, but no one actually talked to the people who did this.
You got to my question. Sort of.
Except for interpretation, clearly.
The America First agenda. If America's not first, we're obviously the most powerful nation on the earth. Would you agree with that?
As far as the military goes, yes.
We've got military strength, our economic strength.
No.
You don't think we take care of our people better than anyone else in the world? You don't think we have more food and more medical?
I've lived in Europe for years.
Free vaccination tests and
There's
all
a
this
lot
shit?
of countries in Europe that are pretty... I'm not saying they're better, but they're equal. Canada's very equal.
What about militarily and economically?
Military.
So we got a top tier rung on a lot of things, don't we?
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though.
It doesn't make us the best. It makes us the best in some categories.
In the good categories, the ones that we value.
But
entertainment,
that's your
we export culture.
But those are all
Hollywood.
Opinions.
Well, I mean, let's find an opinion we can agree on. What about schools? I'm sure you can't say the school system in America is the best in the world.
No, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Okay, now, can I get to my question, guys?
Sorry.
Yes, I'm trying to answer your
everybody's excited.
Yes. You have the one liberal in the town that's willing to step up.
Right, we all want to like get our chances.
No, and I'm willing to do this, dude. Trust me. I am not threatened by any of you, and I hope that
we don't want to be threatening.
No, I hear you.
But
and all my friends are texting me right now and she is a hardcore Trumper. Kingston, worried about my safety right now.
But anyway,
yes.
Well, tell her to we've got.
We believe that America is the greatest country on earth. That's our opinion. Now, if we're not strong, though, if the American economy isn't strong, our military isn't strong, our cultural values aren't strong, how are we able to help other countries?
Money.
But those things
and it
come
all
from...
goes into our debt. We're not giving them anything that your kids, I don't have kids, but if I did, we're selling our souls to other nations.
Yeah. Okay. That's.
And
definitely
I
gonna
agree
on that.
100%. That's not just a liberal thing. That's also a Republican thing. Democrats say
It's an oligarchy thing. It definitely
So
is. It's
concerned
what is
about
our
my
soul,
safety.
though?
What is our soul that we're selling? You know, like we have
our financial soul.
Is that what you're saying? Or
our
what
debt.
about our heritage? You think we're selling that too? You think we're selling out
No.
our culture?
So you don't
I
like the
think we
heritage
are.
very much of America?
I think we are
What is the
selling it out.
heritage of America? I think that's a matter
everything
of
we
Experiencing
stand for.
and
well, hold
abolishing
on.
slavery.
Hold on, I think that's a matter of opinion and where you grew up. For example,
History.
in Washington State, we didn't have slavery, we didn't have all of that. But if you compare our history to the southern states, South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia,
I grew up in
Alabama,
Mississippi and Florida.
Mississippi,
So
northern parts of Florida,
been a lot
southern
to
Florida, they don't. Southern Florida doesn't even consider themselves part of the South.
I'm from Northwest Florida. It's basically
Right.
fucking Lower Alabama. So
Exactly. So
like
it just depends on where you grew up. I'm the only one in my family born and raised in Washington. The rest of my family is from Ohio. So I grew up with a very different. My parents were very liberal, thank goodness. My dad, again, liberal, Air Force veteran of 3 wars, 3 very important wars.
Are you a bad person for being that?
No. I'm just saying that it depends on where you grow up.
It's what
and
made you who you are.
that's correct.
And it's what
But
made you who
what
you
I'm
are.
saying is the
Are we bad
culture. Hold, I need to tell
Sure,
her I'm
yeah,
okay.
That's fine. Yeah, absolutely.
You should send her a video.
Send her a video.
Send her a video call and say
I'm
we're good.
okay.
She's in one
It's okay.
piece.
I'll call you back in a little bit. Okay? Everything's good. Okay?
Everybody say hi.
Now she's more
Hi.
worried. Now she's more worried.
All right. Bye.
You never tell somebody everything's okay.
You didn't tell you're surrounded by 10
But
white
you're basically
supremacists.
saying that there's part of American culture you could see go away from history. You wouldn't want to remember.
Were you
I
kidnapped?
don't want to, it's not that I don't want to forget it.
Okay,
And I
that's
want to
important.
remember it, and I just don't want to celebrate it.
Okay, what about other people celebrating it? What about
I don't
their
think there's
idea? What
anything
about breaking
to
away from
celebrate.
someone else's bigoted idea about how they should live their life and letting them be free? What about that?
What do you mean by that, before I answer
They're
that?
all the way over there. Are they really giving you a problem with how they're living?
All the
You
way over
personally.
there, what do you mean by that?
Any of the states you mentioned, are they
Okay,
allowed
but
to
what-
live
but
in?
what are we
Are they
talking
allowed to
about?
practice their cultural pride that
Are
you don't
you
like?
talking about slavery?
Okay, so I think what the issue here is like what kind of the root
I don't
what
want to
you're
answer
talking
your
about
question
is-
until I know exactly, because I think you're asking a question
You
in
were
a...
loosely talking about culture that might be different in a way that you might disagree with it. I'm not sure which of it you disagree.
Were
we
you
get hung up on this
specifically
when we start
talking
to-
about slavery, or were you talking about, because Southern culture
It's more than
is very diverse. I mean, it's got a lot of different parts
I
to
think
it.
for me, the bulk of it is slavery. I'm not from the South, so I don't know all
Right.
of the intricacies. But for me, being born and raised here and taught what our government decided to teach us is certain parts of our country in certain time frames, certainly the Civil War, was about the North freeing the slaves versus the South fighting for slavery. I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's what we were taught.
Yes.
Sounds like you value more what you're taught than what you experience. You know,
Well, absolutely. Have you been to the South?
well, I
grew up
value
there.
what I experience.
Absolutely.
I value
But what
I
have you
experience.
experienced? Have you been to the South and did you experience
That's why I'm not
slavery?
speaking on it.
But I'm
Well, I can tell you a
saying,
That's why
lot
I'm not
about
speaking on it, and you are. But I'm
but
saying
that's what I'm saying is that's the only thing I know because
this-
our government decided
what, no,
that's
what you know is what you experienced, though.
But
what you read.
I'm answering your question. When I grew up, I was born in 1967, and I graduated in 1986
here in Washington.
here in Washington. Yes, I was born at Madigan General Hospital on a Friday, November 24th, and growing up in our public schools, we were taught what our government, state and federal,
Wants us to
decided
know.
decided to teach us about the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Is all that right?
Is that something you relived though?
So-
Did you relive
But
it?
is
I
that
got a
all?
good
It's
point.
Well,
not all right.
I got a
Having-
good point.
But
The
that's
hang up
all
here.
That's all I know. Other than
Your experience.
So,
So you're admitting you have a lot of book knowledge.
there's,
on
so you're
what America
criticizing
has
the history of
taught
the United States and the,
no,
So
I'm not criticizing what I know. What I'm criticizing,
Okay, let me rephrase it.
what I'm questioning is what we weren't taught. For
right,
example,
why do we accept
for
it?
example,
Why do
how
we
do we treat the
Why does
Native
it seem celebrated and stuff like that by people? The hang up why there is a conflict with this kind of issue right now is that we're trying to judge the past by today's standards, which have developed so far from
Sure.
when people accepted slavery.
Totally agree
Okay,
with that.
so that's why people get extreme in their things about, like, you know, like they end up hating the United States because of our fucked up history. We don't give ourselves enough credit for overcoming that and moving so far forward from it. You
But
know?
have we moved?
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yes, we have.
Really?
Well,
Yeah.
How
Are we
many,
lynching people
how
in
many
trees?
black people do you guys know and love in your life?
oh, I've got a ton. And I say that with
I
genuine...
honestly don't feel like I need to use them as a weapon for my argument right now. I
But I'm
honestly
just
feel
saying,
that's what you. I feel like
but-
you feel like the need to
Pushing
use
race
that
politics
as
is a
weapon
really
for an
edgy
argument
thing,
right
you know.
now.
That's
I don't even feel
But
like
I
need
think
to
that's
respond to you
easy
on
to
that.
say as a white person.
it's hard to. That's not a fair
Actually-
metric because
So how
not
do you
everybody.
have
We don't all
free
live in
speech as a white
Tacoma.
person? You wanna,
If you live in
wanna
Olympia,
take
that's not a
power
fair
of
question.
That was a
knowledge 'cause
weaponized
we're white,
argument. That
but
was a
you're the
weaponized
same
argument.
white. We can't base it on each other's skin color.
No, I agree.
all.
But I grew up in a household that adopted a Japanese sister.
Okay.
And so I grew up in Washington State listening to, oh, you got a chink, you got a gook, you got a...
Oh,
for
so
a
you've
family
experienced some racial
member. I have,
verbiage
and I'm
here.
also a lesbian. So I felt that.
So I mean,
Where
do
have
you?
any of you felt any
So
of that?
there's
Oh,
an
yeah.
era where it's like
I've been
hippies
called a
and
chimp, I've been called a
I'm
chink.
sure you
and-
have.
I have
No,
definitely
it's
felt like
okay.
that.
I know
Sorry
it's
for that.
okay. No, I
That's
call myself
horrible.
the yellow, so it's
When
not.
I was in New Orleans,
Being
I felt
yellow,
out of place.
that's
I'll tell you that much.
technically unfortunately, the skin color. Yellow, white,
Yeah,
red,
no,
brown.
it's a
See,
joke. It's
and-
not a big deal.
and
It's not something to
for
take
me-
to offense.
When I say I have a ton of friends who are black, I don't look at them as black people, and they don't look at me as a white person. We look at each other as people. And I know
And I
people all
appreciate
over the country. I literally know people from Florida to California to Washington State to Washington, D.C. and New York and all points in between. Having done this for 4 years, what we do, I've had the privilege of meeting hundreds of people.
Our guy who got
Of
shot
all
yesterday
stripes.
or last
Oh, yeah.
weekend, he is Samoan.
My Samoan friend who got
100%
shot
I'm
by
trying to move to
Antifa.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
I have Ohana on the Big Island
Now,
right now.
let's not pretend there's not racism in the world or whatever. I grew up in the South. I can tell you a whole lot
There
about it.
is.
All right.
So I have a question about
Yes.
like the racism stuff, because when I've been out and against leftists, liberals, they call me a token and a race traitor. What would you think about that?
I don't like it.
Okay. So
But I
pretty
don't-
much they're racist as well, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
That's why I don't say
You
I'm
can
part
see
of
it,
that
at least,
either.
Now,
I'm just saying that for people who are far to the left and far to the right, those people need to be extinguished, and the moderate medium needs to come into play again, where we can all do this.
But you
and
have a
get
big group of
along.
us here right now speaking to you, and we're being.
So I want to give you a
Moderate and
picture of
talking
what
to
you're
you.
saying, and what you're basically saying is that there's a snake. When you're in the center of the snake, it's easy. Too far left, too far right, dangerous.
Yes.
Here's the problem. We can't control that snake, and there's something called an evil era we are in. We're in an era where you have police not doing anything about people running through the streets, murdering people and shooting them. You have an era where it's evil. So, in
But
an
that
evil
goes both ways.
era? No, either goes.
been
So it goes
attacking
like this:
prayer
bad
gatherings
men
in
create
Oregon.
hard
They've been
times.
attacking like churches in Oregon. Like
For sure.
We're
And
not
what
doing
about
any of
the
that. We're
people
not
who are
attacking
shooting black people up in churches in the South?
that's
Oh,
something
that's-
completely different.
that's-
than-
that is-
That is
that's
the
not
thing I'm talking
political.
about,
That's
where
not
we don't give
political.
ourselves enough
The
credit
left,
for
right,
I don't know
overcoming
if it
that.
is.
The left
People
comes
don't
in
You
do
don't
that
know how
anymore.
that shooter, what challenged
Are you willing to accept the
them.
fact that KKK were founded by the Democratic Party?
Absolutely, I
Okay,
am.
all right.
That's Southern Democrats, and that's like talking.
Yeah, are you willing to accept
So-
the fact
so that
that it is a
snake-
myth
hold
that
on, it
the
could be
parties
evil,
never
Hold on,
switched?
let me address this
You
gentleman
know
right
the
here.
parties never switched. That's a myth.
No, but the other side of that is the Republican Party of Lincoln was very liberal, And that is not the same Republican Party now. So that is switched. And I accept both of those.
Yeah,
You
Abraham
can't
Lincoln
shake your
also
head and say
declared
no.
war on his own
I
nation,
admit
so.
that
I
the
just get
Southern
really
Democrats
twisted up about that myth that they switched in the 60s or whatever, and it's just,
So
it's
what
total
about
propaganda.
Biden having I don't remember his first name, but Byrd, the like founder of the KKK,
Yeah,
is his mentor?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay, you should look it
can't.
up. Biden
can't.
has
I'll look it
a
up right now.
KKK member
It's-
that's
Can we
his
agree
the
on
mentor.
Democrats have a long history.
Vote.
And
We
the
will not be
reason
voting
why
for Inslee.
Democrats,
Yeah.
the KKK and the
fair to
Democrats
assume?
are actually hand in hand because
I've
they're
never voted for Inslee except for the last time because I didn't like Culp, and no, I will not be voting for him again.
Okay. I'm glad
So
we
what
I'm
agree.
you
kind
say,
of glad to hear
Biden?
that.
Glad we
Biden's
agree on
mentor
that.
was, I can't remember the guy's first name, but it's something Byrd.
I want to say James Byrd, but I don't think that was it.
Something like that.
Yes, you guys have a great day. Be safe.
Yeah.
Don't cause any problems. Don't get arrested.
No, these guys are good
I
guys.
don't-
They just protect people from getting hurt.
And